sourdough bread is given this huge health halo in the alternative health community. And Dr. Sara and I are going to start out part 2 of our 2-part conversation talking about why we don't think it deserves a health halo and the reasons that people might want to eliminate it if they are trying to reverse metabolic issues and leptin resistance. We're also going to talk about hydrogen and just more on emotional eating and the biggest issues that we see people struggling with when it comes to making lasting change in their health. So welcome back to the Evolving Wellness Podcast. This is part 2 of a conversation I had with my good friend, Dr. Sara Pugh, a 2-hour conversation. So make sure you go back and listen to part 1 if you have not already listened to that. If you want to listen to this all at once, all in one loop, you can always join my private membership community, and the full conversation in the 2-hour cut is posted there. But if you are here on YouTube, make sure to leave us a like or a comment. If you're on Spotify or Apple, leave the show up to a 5-star review. Let us know if you enjoyed this conversation and want more episodes like this. I really enjoy kind of formal episodes where I interview people on various topics, but I think these episodes with friends like Dr. Pugh are also really fun and can be helpful to people. So I always want to hear back from you if this was helpful to you or you just plain old enjoyed it. So thanks again for listening. Make sure to catch part 1 if you haven't already watched it. And I look forward to talking with you again soon. A lot of people are quick to talk about the benefits of sunlight, but what gets often missed in the conversation is the benefit of darkness and the importance of protecting yourself from blue and green light after sunset. That is why I choose Viva Rays as my go-to source for protecting my circadian rhythms. You can use the code YOGI to save 15% off at Viva Rays. Now, you may have seen some of these studies popping up. I call them fear-mongering about blue blockers not being effective. And that is a partial truth, because when you use blue blockers that are clear or that have not been tested with a spectrometer to actually block what they say they do, they will not protect your circadian rhythms. And they are not catching those key wavelengths that you need to be blocking in order for your body to be able to repair, for you to make melatonin, which is a master antioxidant. And artificial light at night has been in the scientific literature extensively linked to a host of hormonal cancers, obesity, diabetes, and all sorts of metabolic issues. That, again, is why I choose Viva Rays as my go-to source for protecting my circadian rhythms to allow my body to get adequate darkness at night. You can use the code YOGI to save 15% over at Viva Rays, and you can actually trust that they block the frequencies of light that they say they do. Thanks to Viva Rays for sponsoring today's podcast. And you can change your lifestyle, because the way you and I operate, you didn't see me like weighing and measuring and tracking my food and but you did see me every single day, sunrise, laying out in the sun. Maybe it was only 10 minutes a day, but I was out there getting full body sun exposure. I was grounding. Blue blockers came on as soon as sunset came down. Like, there are a few things, and then the kind of water that I drink, I'm very consistent with those things. And, I think that those things make a huge difference. You can't eat crap, right? You can't just eat space Oreos and Reese's peanut butter cups.
Oh yeah, I know what this. Yeah, and I didn't touch what I never touched the keto ice cream or any ice. I didn't have one bit of ice cream while I was there, and I think I had 6 fries.
Yeah,
but I think it's one of those things that it's just as people get older, especially with women, it does become more difficult.
It's more challenging. It is more challenging for sure.
And also, I think it's sometimes just about being okay with yourself, because you mentioned like gaining the 5 or 6 pounds, and on women our height or like sort of size, I think we were saying that sometimes you can gain 6 to 8 pounds and nobody notices apart you. And and it's sometimes just being okay with that, because I was going to say that what I really learned is about leptin and hormones is that if you've got terrible hormones and you try and low leptin and you try and lose weight, it's just going to drive everything crazy. And sometimes you've got to be okay with the weight that you are, and
Right.
then fix your sex hormones and everything to the best of your ability. Because I'm like nearly 47, and
Right.
I was really like delighted more than you can imagine that my hormones are better than last year. So it doesn't mean that, you know, I've got the magic recipe to fix everybody, because it's so different when we go through the menopause. But I just think a lot of people are just not giving themselves a chance to fix their hormones. They're too quick to jump onto medication. Because another thing about certain, like back to the fast oxidizers and people with unusual, you know, that they can not do well at all with thyroid meds. And I think people are too quick to try and jump in, and it's like, just give everything a chance, like with a quantum. And it might sound, you know, it's one of those things that you have to just give your body permission to normalize itself, but also just give yourself permission to be all right with your own body. Because mine's far from perfect, but I like it. And it's one of those things, like I was saying to you yesterday, I'm grateful that I've got all my hormones and I don't have gray hair. And also I'm always in a good mood. Like I can be like snappy. I can be snappy and impatient, but it's more at irritation. I don't mind children or animals or seniors, or, you know, I don't like leaf blowers, but on the whole, I'm kind of, I so badly hate feeling shit that, and I don't like sort of depression or anxiety or just stuff like that, that I'd kind of be okay with myself. But then with me and my weight, when I leave it alone, it goes away by itself. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I get to that point where I thought, right, okay, I'm not fighting anymore with this. I'm just going to let everything settle, let the hormones settle down, the leptin and everything goes back up. Because I had like slightly low leptin, like 3.8, but that was from trying to do keto in UVIs of 12. Anyway, and then let that all happen, and then maybe revisit a way of sort of losing weight slowly. Because I appreciate with women, when metabolism slows and weight just piles on, it can be actually really terrifying,
frustrating, very frustrating.
But it's also really emotionally frightening, especially
Yeah.
because I have a really good understanding of biochemistry, and also I know full well that is me all the time anyway. So I feel I have control over pretty much everything to do with my life and my biology. But for somebody who's all of a sudden they've got thyroid issues or adrenal fatigue or whatever, and they gain 5 pounds and then 10, and it's like that can be really actually quite frightening. And then people will calorie restrict and then binge, and then 20 pounds is here, and
gets worse.
you
Or they
know,
go to like a carnivore diet and they think they have to eat sticks of butter. Like I had a new lady in my group yesterday that she was in my direct messages, and she was just like freaking out. I was like, look, I can't, I'm like, I don't read direct messages that much anymore, but if you want to have some help, go in my group, either myself or the ladies. And she's just like, I don't want to eat high fat. My body high fat. And I was like, where did you draw that conclusion that you had to eat high fat? I don't want to eat just meat. I'm like, where did you get that idea from my work? Like
you haven't obviously seen Dr. Sarah, the HAPS Navigator's reply to that, because I got quite angry at that, because she was saying, oh, doesn't meat clog your digestion? I was like, that's complete nonsense. And so is it complete nonsense that meat gives you iron overload? And I said, it's absolutely vital to have animal fat to make hormones. You need retinol, you need DHA. And I'm very sorry, I've worked a lot with people who've transitioned from vegetarian and vegan, and you just have to get over it.
A lot of them in the group, actually. I love it when some of them are like, I was vegetarian for 7 years. I've been doing Sarah's leptin program, and look, now I'm eating more animal foods. I feel great. I've lost weight. Like yesterday was a great day in the group. We had so many amazing, I screenshotted you a bunch overnight, like some
I saw,
really lovely success stories. Amy has lost
40 pounds.
She's lost 40 pounds since February doing the protocol. And yesterday she was freaking out. God bless. I don't know if Amy's listening, but we love you, Amy.
Probably. But also, was she the one asked about the 3-to-1 keto?
Yes, she was like, I need to do 3-to-1 keto because I want to lose.
No.
I was like, no, but you've already lost 40 pounds by not going keto. You just got rid of, like I said earlier, the bread, the dairy, the nuts. Like, you got rid of all the processed foods. You're hitting your protein goal. I have a way to work out your protein. You're hitting your protein goal, and you're eating, seasonal whole food carbohydrates. You're eating healthy fat, and you're eating enough of it let's just play with those ratios a little bit, keep your protein consistent. Let's play with the ratios a little bit to keep the scale moving. But why switch to 3-to-1 ratio keto?
No.
That could massively backfire. Like
Oh, absolutely. And that's kind of medical keto for
yeah,
epilepsy as an adult, because a 4-to-1 would be a child epilepsy. And even a
right.
3 to, even when I did medical keto myself with, for whatever reason, a 2-to-1 worked and a 2.5 was really hard to do anyway. And I found that was great. And you think a lot of things can be put into remission. I did reply in the group saying, yeah, the keto is great, but quantum is, you
That's
need
what
the,
I'm always like, what's the purpose that you want to do keto for? Do you have an autoimmune condition? Do you have a lot of pain and inflammation in your body and you just need to get this fire under control? Okay, then I can help support you with the keto. Becky, who's one of the group coaches, you might even want to do a 1-to-1 with her so she can set you up with meal plans and all that stuff at macros. But if your primary goal is just to lose weight and to feel better, there is zero reason for you to go to a high fat ketogenic diet, like zero. And
especially in the middle of summer.
exactly. It is summertime. Your body is going to be like, what is happening here? Like, why am I in winter mode? Like,
Yeah,
it's supposed
exactly.
to be summer, yeah, it's the nutrition conversation is so polarizing. People get so mad about it. But it's not that difficult. It doesn't have to be so complicated. And that's good news. That's really good news, I think.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think it's like I was saying, like with Amy and the 40 pounds, that's basically what I was going to say now. It's about being impatient because sometimes because leptin and your body
I mean,
weight
you've
set
lost
point are,
40
yeah,
pounds. We're
let your
here in
body
June.
plateau. You've got to let your body and your
Take a moment.
physiology and your
Take a
energy
moment.
body and your psychology to get used to being a thin person. Because
Right.
I've had friends who lost tons of weight and they looked great, but they psychologically and energetically just couldn't accept being a thin person
I've
because of
done
an
it. I've done
identity.
it. And then I gained
And
100 pounds very quickly because it's like, oh no, that's me. This is
just
not
gain a
me.
whole person.
Yeah, I've done it. I've literally
Oh
done
no,
it.
I've seen the pictures. I like with
Yeah.
you and weight, I kind of like any woman in weight. It's the
You're like,
eggshell central. I just like, okay, love, that's kind of nice. No, that's a nice picture. And then you would get, oh, I look like a whale. I was like, oh, yes. I'm not going to get involved, I think, in this one. But yeah, no, it's very true. But I think it's also like you said that we were talking about, this, that because you've lost the weight, but then you've stayed the same for ages. And sometimes it might not be what you want in your head, but you've got
right.
to let the biology, because I always say biology is really
Adjust.
slow.
Adjust.
And someone says lost 40 pounds. That's absolutely amazing. Why not just sit there for a month or 6 weeks? Just
Maintenance. It's kind of like what the
yeah, just get
bodybuilders
used to
do.
it.
They
Yeah.
have refeed and then they
Mm.
have diet, cut time, then they kind of do maintenance and like I think if you just try to go through this massive and then that's why I don't want people to just go keto right away anymore
Mm.
because say you go keto, say Amy had gone keto. I'm sorry, Amy, if you're listening, that we're like using you as the example. She's so ridiculously lovely. Some of the things that she said yesterday, I was like, oh my gosh, she's so kind. But let's just take her for instance. She comes to the program, the Leptin Reset in February, and she has 80 pounds total to lose. And immediately she goes keto. Immediately she goes keto. And so now here we are, 40 pounds down in the beginning of June, and you've been keto the whole time. So now what's the next step? What's the next lever we're going to pull? Are we going to have to start in doing a lot more fasting? Are we going to have to like you have nowhere to go, for the next 40 pounds. You're just going to have to keep on because the metabolism is going to do specific things in a ketogenic state versus when you're not in a ketogenic state full time. There's so much that I think people don't understand about how the whole weight loss thing works. So now it's good news that she hasn't gone keto. Like maybe that last 10 pounds or so, 15 pounds or so, we play with some keto and some fasting, right? We get the body like in that position where we can pull those levers, but those are not the first levers that I want people to pull because it's a really good way to kind of downregulate your thyroid and, have other signaling pathways in the body activated that we don't necessarily need to activate.
Absolutely. And like I was saying back to the hormones, that what I do is like you find a good place where everything's stable, then I don't like words like cut and refeed. I just say I'll eat less and for like 2 weeks. And then I'll eat a bit more and kind of, rather than thinking, right, I'm going to lose 20 pounds in 6 weeks. In six, I'm going to lose like 10 pounds in 2 months. And I'm going to do like, I'm going to put a photo on Instagram or do a bodybuilding show for my friend. I'll just be like more, I'll just do it 2 weeks and then stay the same. And I just do it gradually, because I think it's just a bit too easy to mess up hormones. And I really, as I keep saying to you, I really don't like feeling shit. It's like, and because when you're really in tune with your hormones, I'll be like, oh, I know why that's like that. And, you know, I'd rather just do it. I like the tortoise behavior. I have learned that being a tortoise is better. But again, it's like a totally, me and, you know, me wanting to sort of wear a bikini is totally different to somebody who's 350 pounds. So you have that, like, I'm always back. It's always to do with the context and the age and, you know, what do you want? And, you know,
what's the first thing that we always ask people in the group when they have like, here's my list of complaints, and I'm like, what are your goals? You know, I need to know, are you here to reverse an autoimmune condition? Are you here to lose 50 pounds? Are you here to lose 10 pounds? Because I'm going to give you something different to do if it's 10 pounds versus if it's 50 pounds. There's a totally different way of approaching things. Because so many women come to me with like, I need to lose 6 pounds. And I'm like, okay.
That's very specific. But also sometimes, you know, you can, I'm very much also about, I think keeping muscle mass is really important, because if you lose that, then you're going to mess up your metabolism. And also I want to be able to carry on doing what I do in my 40s, which I can still do everything I was in my 20s. And I'm just not willing to give up muscle mass. And I think for a lot of women it's really difficult to build muscle in your 40s anyway. So you're not going to do it by accident. And I think there's a lot of people wanting to lose weight. You know, it could be water, it could be inflammation, it could be, you know, I think they mean they want to look better naked is really what the word they're looking for is. And sometimes the scales don't move. People have done leptin resets and other ways of eating, and the scale stayed the same, yet they dropped a dress size or two. So sometimes being a bit too, you know, I want to lose 6 pounds. It's like,
you know, the number.
Because exactly. It's like if someone said I wanted to look really hot and sexy for my wedding, that's a brilliant goal. Or somebody wrote a brilliant goal in the group the other day. I want to lose 20 pounds and I know it's the artificial sweeteners that's doing it, so I'm stopping those. And I was like, that's a really good goal, because you have a problem that you want to solve, which is the weight and the artificial sweeteners. And you've told everybody, this is who I am, I'm being really honest, let's just do it. And, you know, that's the kind of really good approach. And you know, and it's like, you know, awesome. Or want to, that's kind of, I want to help with that. So I suppose with a person with 6 pounds, you know, what if they were 100 pounds and wanted to be 94 and they were 5'6"?
That happens too.
No, I know it does. That's why I just kind of think, okay, I'm not gonna put I'm just gonna stay out of this one. I think I'll find somebody else to help you there. You know, my favorite emoji face is the, you know, that yellow one with the like, you know, I don't know what to do. You know, I do really, but I think it's something that it's more of a one-to-one thing with the right person. It's very personal, and you can trigger people back into binge eating, males or females, either way. Like you can trigger like bulimia or anorexia or overeating by accident, and probably I could well have done that, you know, by accident, because you know, we're not realized, you know. So it's one of those things. I think sometimes it's a one-to-one kind of thing. And 100% people make recoveries from all of these things, like binge eating, anorexia, bulimia, and you know, and it goes away and it doesn't come back.
Yeah, they do. It comes back to the relationship with yourself. And everyone says, oh, your relationship with food has to improve, your relationship with food. And I totally understand the sentiment of that. But food is an inanimate object. You can't have a relationship. I can't have a relationship with this freaking red light panel. Like no, there's no give and take. There's no give and take with food. other than food is there to give your body nutrients. It's your relationship with yourself, and like, how are you caring for yourself, and how are you managing your emotions? Are you using food to numb your emotions? Like, that's a conversation Matt and I were having yesterday. My husband, he's like, because he pulled up a picture of me when I was in my 30s, late 30s, and I just was like thick, I was just like thick. Like, I'm probably 30, 35 pounds more than I am now, just consistently. And I just could never get below a certain weight. And he was like, you know why? Because every night
Oh
he
yeah, you told me that. Like, you used to eat ice cream at 8 o'clock at night.
or I would eat like nuts with dried fruit, thinking it
Oh
was
yeah.
healthy. I would just snack on like handful of almonds, like, and dried apples, and just like, oh, it's paleo. It's like, it's healthy. And it was every night because I was so stressed out from the day that I had no way to unwind. And it was like an emotional thing. Like, I didn't want to be doing it, but it was almost like something took over my body. And it was like, this is how you're going to feel better, is eat all this freaking crap, or I would like put M&Ms in the microwave and like, oh, that never happened. I've been eating healthy, you know,
Oh yeah.
and I could never shake the weight or the inflammation because it was every night at like 8 o'clock, like something and it was all emotional. And so until I really, and going through alcohol recovery and going through meetings and sobriety did help me to say, I am using food to not deal with how I feel. I am using food because there's something that's bothering me, and I've just had a really stressful day and I need to unwind. And so I'm just chewing, and eating and getting this mouth pleasure from, I need to just freaking go lay in the hot bath and maybe even cry about something and acknowledge that it sucks. Um, and that's taken me, I'm almost 45. In a week, I'll be 45. And it's like, some
I've
part
got
of me wonders if it's when you get in your 40s, you just have a bit more emotional intelligence and bandwidth, but it's also the relationship you have with yourself and how you're using substances to get you through life,
but I just want to add there, in our 40s, I think if you don't suddenly start, oh shit, I'm in the perimenopause already, identifying, because that's when I
Yeah, that's
actually
always
feel
driving
my
me
best, and that
crazy.
like I feel my best in my 40s. And
I
yes,
feel my best at 45.
but also we've done all the quantum stuff for ages, so
Yeah,
I think there's one of those things. I think people are missing a trick
yeah.
and jumping into whatever HRT too early, or thinking, oh, I'm going to fall apart because I'm going to go through the menopause, because I think I'm not going to use HRT. I'm just going to do it naturally. But I was just going to say that, like, that's a really important point. When you get into your 40s, I think we have like a lot of experience, and if
Mm-hmm.
you like do the quantum stuff, you can avoid, like, I definitely don't have any intellectual impairments or brain fog or anything like that, unless I'm in the Bermuda Triangle. That's kind of
My
different.
kids, they're
Your
like,
house, yeah, but I think it's a really important thing about, there's lots of advantages to being, in your and I even some women in their 50s said they felt much better just going through the
yeah,
menopause naturally, because
yeah,
they've got this wealth of life experience. Like, one of the things, the reason we've got so much in common, like, we very different in certain ways but got lots in common, the other is how we've had 20 different lives already, and already been
already
20 different
in
people.
one, totally.
So, and it kind of, even though, like, when we talk to people or to each other, it's not like multiple personality disorder or schizophrenics having a conversation. It's, we've got these different lives, we've got stuff to draw from, and we've also met loads of really interesting and unusual people,
Yeah.
as well. And so nothing kind of much surprises us,
Mm-mm.
or we did it ourselves, or we lived with
Mm-hmm.
somebody that was that. So
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of the thing about the relationship with food is also back to always having something else more important to focus on than the food, whether it's, your children or your
Mm-hmm.
business or your, red light, your quantum practices or some kind of goal. So,
Yeah.
so that the food, and also it's still, back to quantum biology and phones, dopamine, as much as I don't think it's all about dopamine, because it's more like a vapor trail, all of the neurochemistry and whatever
Mm-hmm.
happened, and then a couple of seconds later out comes the dopamine. It didn't
Mm-hmm.
actually do it, but it is important that you've got to like guard your dopamine and like you guard your electrons and guard your magnesium, because it's just something that this current environment will just steal all three of those. And if you lose your electrons, your magnesium, and your dopamine, you're basically a sitting duck for stress and panic, is what I found.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And then you will be eating the M&Ms in the microwave at 9:30 at night and wondering what happened.
Yeah, I suppose. But the thing is, like everything, like people have done that, and then I'm sure people have taken cakes out of the trash, and
Oh yeah.
people have a special. There's just so much stuff with people and food. But I think the most important thing is, first of all, not to be ashamed about it,
Right.
and secondly, lots of I don't buy into this like I'm naming people as a sugar addict or a food addict. I just think it's okay. You've got, humans are primed to be greedy, because if you watch animals, and things, they can be really greedy as well, and children and stuff like that. And it's just something that our primitive biology thinks that no, there's going to be no food tomorrow, and not to be bad about it, but just to know that you can control it. And I think back to what you were saying about keeping things simple, that I'm not being mean to people to say either, please just, can you just go carnivore, but not straight away because it's simple, or take away the entertaining food, the crap, the nuts, the dairy, because there are so many other
You're going to
people.
overeat.
Yeah, exactly. And just eat some fish, some fruit, just eat like food, that's like, and maybe, and it doesn't have to be perfect. It can be paleo to start with, minus the nuts and the dark chocolate, and you just learn to not use food as entertainment.
I know it's tough. It really is tough because you noticed it here in the US. You were like, I can't go to the grocery store. I can't go out because this like you get bombarded constantly with like food and advertisements and try this and try that. And the labeling and the packaging is so attractive. And I
Oh yeah,
mean,
there's loads of stuff I've never tried before, like the entire
wild
ice cream roll, like an aisle of just ice
ice
cream.
cream.
But
Yeah. Oh
luckily, I get actually that overwhelmed. If there's too much choice, I can't buy
yeah.
anything.
You're like, no.
If somebody buys it for me, like the whole business with me and the jam donut flavored ice cream, I didn't buy that like Matt did when I was there.
You guys
Because
went to the grocery store one night and just
oh
like
yeah, I know.
crazy buying all this ice cream
No,
stuff.
we didn't buy all this ice cream. The more weird stuff about that was, oh, we're just going to the grocery shop. And then we came back 3 hours later. And it's like your husband. We didn't do anything. I had a tour of Atlanta, and like where he'd been to college. And then we went to the grocery place. But the thing is, we did that first. So the ice cream had almost melted.
Melted. Yeah.
But we only did that once, and it was really good fun. And it was
Yeah.
kind of, I've never seen jam donut flavor ice cream before, and I think he really wanted, what was it, the maple syrup pancake one, or there was a cinnamon roll one. I was like, no, we're just having one, we'll
I
just
didn't
get
touch that
one.
stuff. Like, no, not for me. Yeah, I think there's a lot of temptation in the United States when it comes to food, grocery stores, commercials, TV.
100%.
It's
And
crazy.
also the pressure of the sizes of the portions, and
Oh
also,
yeah.
yeah, that bakery
Huge.
in Publix, like
Yeah.
I just used to walk around it, and it was like, I don't even know, I want to eat it all, right, but I
Bakery at
can't.
Publix is like dangerous because it smells so good
Oh
and you're
yeah.
it's dangerous. I don't like to go to the grocery store if I can avoid it, honestly, because I end up buying things that I don't necessarily need to be buying or having in the house. And that's the thing we always say with the ladies is like, don't have it in your house because I can't stop eating this. I'm like, why is it in your house? Why are you
Oh yeah,
buying?
I know.
Like I just was eating this I'm like, why is it in your house? If you don't bring it into your house, you won't eat it, like it's the
but
truth.
but also the other one of my phrases was, I don't want to know about it. Oh, because your
No,
husband would be like, do you want to try all these different foods? And I like actually said, like, most of the time, no. Do you know what, I'd rather just not know about it,
I don't
because
even want to know exists.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly, because that's the thing. Like, I didn't never buy anything in the Publix bakery, because I just thought it's better if you just you don't know.
No. Yeah.
You've managed for 46 years without knowing what any of this is like. Just leave it alone. Same with the
Yeah.
key lime pie
Oh
cake.
yeah, the cake that you guys saw at the country store.
No, yeah, we didn't
Yeah.
buy it because
Yeah.
luckily it wasn't there. But also there was other things about, oh, do you want to try Cheesecake Factory?
Oh
So I
yeah.
went in and I had a look, and I just thought, actually, do you know what? No, I don't need to know about this. And I think that's a lot. And this is very important for children,
Mhm.
they don't need to know about this, because I
No.
didn't know about sweets until I was 3, and someone gave me
Right.
a Cadbury's flake, and I thought it was a sausage. So I think it's one of these things about, like, James doesn't know about it because he's
Mm-mm,
just not
mm-mm.
given it. So as far
No.
as he's concerned, he doesn't know what candy is. So
No.
so I think there's a lot to be said about, you know, not knowing about it
Mm-hmm.
as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we did go with Alexis. She thought McDonald's were just places where you had playgrounds until she was probably like 4 or 5.
Yeah.
And someone gave her fries at some point, and then it was all over. We couldn't go back there anymore. But yeah, until she was like 5, she thought McDonald's was just like a good place for playgrounds, and Chick-fil-A had good playgrounds, and like she didn't even know there was food there. So
Oh yeah,
yeah.
absolutely. And I do think, like, yeah, sure, there's like food here in the UK, but it's definitely, I used to say it all the time. It's like, and your husband and I used to say, we spend all day just going around saying no about to stuff, and
Yeah.
it's one of these things. It's like, and when I came the first time, he was like, oh, do you want to just get yourself food from Uber Eats? And I've never downloaded an app ever for fast
Yeah.
food, and I
Yeah.
was like, yeah, I could, but I don't know how to use it, because I think it's back to the whole having that on your app, on your
Hmm.
phone is
On your
like a
phone.
drug dealer on
Oh
speed
yeah.
dial.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
and definitely, I just think it's I do understand from being in the US, but I still went there, and if I had no dopamine, I would have gained 30 pounds or something, because
Oh
I would have
yeah.
just gone crazy, because there were so many things I'd never seen before, like
Mhm.
the ice cream and syrup. They're just like and endless. And
Oh yeah.
I totally get man v food, or people, let's eat our way around Atlanta.
Yeah, oh,
Uh,
yeah.
and I totally understand how people just go absolutely crazy. And I think the other thing that's important, when we did have the meal, we the day after, I was like, oh, why did I do this? Why, I've got water retention and blah, blah, blah,
Yep.
blah. And then I just
We
will just
were
stop. Whereas
doing
if people,
sauna and
yeah, and castor
castor
oil
oil.
packs.
Yeah.
Whereas if people just do it all the time, it's like, I could see how it could spiral out of control.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah.
But the thing is, you live there, so you kind
Mhm.
of have been through the whole eating your way around
It's just not
Atlanta.
appealing to me. Like I would rather honestly go hiking. I'd rather lay out in the sun. I'd rather relax. I'd rather get in the sauna, do cold plunge. I've shifted what's enjoyable to me, and food. Yeah, I enjoy food, and like I had it was fun when we got Wahoo that night, but
Oh yeah.
you can't, like, what used to happen for me that no longer does, because I found a lot of happiness in just my regular life and surroundings. And we had so much joy every morning sitting out on the patio for sunrise. Like it was just you and I, we'd just sit out there and just talk. And we found a lot of joy in things like that. And we should talk about hydrogen because we've been going almost 2 hours.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I think I
We'll
want
have to
the
listen to two, but
I think also that's the other thing about finding joy in, like, because I used to like walking the dog, and you probably heard me having conversations with Petal
oh
and
yeah.
all sorts, and then talking to anyway. But it's like finding joy, and it is, lots of really funny things happen with the
Hmm.
kids, and
Oh yeah,
and the
hilarious.
bouncy houses and stuff like that. And
Mhm.
fair enough, some people don't have kids, like I don't. And just for corrections, I'm not a bad mother traveling to America and
You
leaving my
don't have
kids
any
behind.
children.
People thought, oh, she's a bad mum, she's left her kids behind, but I don't have any. But also, I'm old enough; they could have been 20 in their 20s anyway. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think also with the hydrogen, I know people get really annoyed about it because it's potentially expensive and it's made of
Hmm.
plastic. But then, as you know, I nearly electrocuted myself on my own air fryer and also a plug the other day, which I didn't tell you about. But I think the idea of water and that hydrogen machine, I can see why it's plastic,
Hmm.
because I would have killed myself by now with it, because I'm kind of not as like careful and tidy and meticulous as you are. I'm just more, oh, I'll just plonk it here, there, and everywhere. So there's
Hmm.
and also I've poured the water down the wrong orifice a few times, and I've thought, hang on, it's just plastic. It'll just come out by itself somehow. So I think it's actually the containering and where the electrics are
Yeah.
meant to be plastic. And also the cannulas just drove me absolutely
Oh yeah.
insane. So
Just
what I've
get
done now
one
is
from.
yeah, just buy the cheap. I found
Yeah.
ones for like, I think I said $1.50, because I've tried them all, and fair enough, some of them don't fit on the top, but all you have to do is pull don't throw away the holy hydrogen one, just pull it apart. And then all of the Chinese cannulas and the soft cannula and the green cannula that I've bought, it slots in. So now I've got one that's really long, because it was just coming apart, and I was effing and being, and then some of them don't have very comfortable nose bits. But don't buy their cannula. I'm not being horrible to them. But also the hydrogen did actually massively help, because I think it's just something that sometimes, you know, I'm really skeptical about it. And I definitely slept really well, because loads of times I was like, oh yeah, Alexis wasn't up in the night, and you were like, she was up about 20 times, and she came downstairs. I was like, oh, I didn't hear it. And
you were out.
Yeah, so definitely there's like stuff for sleeping. And also I think, because I used it as soon as I got there, so we'll end the story about the jet lag and stuff, that I think it massively helped with sleeping. But also with jet lag, it's not just physical, it's, I get it very mentally, like all sorts of emotional things, and I can suppress it, but I kind of, I'm really uncomfortable. Yet the hydrogen sort of took the edge off that, you know, about you know, because it's kind of really easy if you're in a new place to get paranoid. And then also when you get back, obviously I've had to suppress loads of emotions of wanting to burst into tears all the time, of, you know, missing you and stuff like that. And it's just like, get over it, like stop being such a big baby. And then I'll
Alexis
kind of
cried for 2 days after you left. Like, I've never seen her do that before.
Oh no, I've got like teary all by myself, because like for making some videos I've had to go through footage, and it's kind of, I have found the hydrogen really helpful, because when I feel really shit, the last thing I'll ever do is eat any kind of bad food. I'd never touch any kind of drug. I'd rather just sit through it and just cringe in my own sort of upsetness. Whereas I've actually found the hydrogen machine, if I once I get started, I actually kind of feel better. And it's a mixture of, like, it's nearly gone now, but that's the other thing I think with jet lag, just emotionally, some people can just not be themselves. And you know, it's like a week now, so it's kind of, and I do, and I think also there's, I've only been doing it, what's it, 2 months, and I'm kind of, and I'm, you know, people get really cross, oh, it's expensive. It's like, well, I can't wait to share mine and be like, oh good, I've got 10 cannulas, my mum can have this one, Andy can have that one, I'll get Mick on this, I'll show Sharon at the clinic. And I think for people, you know, buying one and sharing it, because I don't even think you could get
Dr.
benefits.
Rimka came over and used ours, because she, you know, she had been interested in it. I had talked to her about it, and she got on it, and she was like, what in the heck? She's like, I literally feel like I'm high right now. I'm like, yeah, that's the first few times you do kind of feel like you're like on something, but after a while you kind of get used to it and you just relax. I mean, that's what we would do at night after the kids were down, because you bought a machine, and then I would have my machine, and we would set them up, and like we would just hang out and sit on the hydrogen with our blue blockers on, and it was nice. It's a very nice, relaxing thing to do to unwind, rather than what I used to do, put M&Ms in the microwave and you melt them just perfectly.
Or me making space cakes and stuff, and how trying to, whatever I used to do in the past. But anyway, yeah, absolutely. And I think also even half an hour makes a big benefit, because I had so many chances to test things, and there was so much potential of things to make me go, or all of us go through the roof every day emotionally, and like not really like much. We were kind of, okay, this has happened now, well, let's just move on. It's happened, as it is with having kids. So I think for people, you could easily share it. And, you know, what I do with mine is I just use it for inhalation. I've put deuterium depleted water in it, because I couldn't bring the distiller back from the UK. It's just too heavy. I thought, I'm going to learn how to use the hydrogen machine without the distiller, because it's just going to really be a big turn off for people. And the shipping's really expensive for the UK. So I've just put deuterium depleted water in it, and I just do the breathing. And I think that goes a long way, because I either do it in the morning, because sometimes, you know, you can wake up and be, oh my God, I've got all this to do, and then fly off the handle. And then in the evening, like I'll do it while I'm having a bath, just to add to just to add to even more electrocution risks of bringing gangways into my bathroom. But I think that I wouldn't suggest that for people, because there's electricity and water and ungrounded houses and plugs. But anyway, you could do that. But also I've also experimented with lying in bed and using it. So I definitely think it's a really
Matt
brilliant.
does that. He'll lay in bed and use it at night, because that's the only time that he can. I just bring it upstairs, and he will pretty much just fall asleep with it on every night. And then we, of course, unplug it, if somebody wakes up, because you don't want that right next to your bed plugged in every night. But
oh no, definitely, yeah. And I just would anyway, because otherwise it makes blue light, and
right.
I can hear it.
I have a blackout curtain wrapped around it. It has
Oh,
a blackout curtain in one of my robes, and it's like all like this bandaged up so the blue light doesn't leak out into the bedroom. It's
what, like a ninja suit?
Yeah, it's like a ninja suit for the hydrogen machine.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. I hadn't thought about, because that's the other thing I was going to say about like having that pitch black room to sleep in, because the airbed, I had to pump it up every day, and it kind of just used to go flat overnight, and then I just used to like sleep on it, even though it was like sleeping in a pudding. But like, I didn't seem to be bothered, and then I just slept all the way through. But I think a big thing was that it was completely pitch black, and it was just a complete freak discovery that you probably didn't even know that that room would be pitch black then.
No idea.
And that was like that's, and then when I got back, I thought, right, I need to get rid of every single photon in my room. And there's actually, I think it's on Amazon, a kit where you can buy blackout stuff, and it comes with loads of Velcro that's really, really sticky. So
Well, that's what I have in the office here.
Yeah, you can cut different sizes, and then you can put it over this window, and you can have this one this long. But also, it would make a really good travel pack, because that's one of the biggest holiday ruiners is, or hotel room ruiners. If you end up in a hotel and you can't block the light.
Crazy.
Yeah, so I think with the hydrogen thing, I'm definitely kind of really excited about it. But also, it's like, I was saying that on the whole, I'm not, a bad-tempered person, but I actually get really angry when people say stuff about it, because without it, Alexis, I don't think, would be as good as she is. And it's one of those things.
The only thing that has made a significant difference for her. I mean, I've tried so many things, and it's like that. This is it, and I love it because there's no side effects from this. There's no side effects from breathing hydrogen, and it's been the only thing that I'm like, I can see. Like, she's been doing it before school. She's been getting up at sunrise with me. She's been sleeping through the night ever since you left. She's been sleeping through the night, which is kind of miraculous. Because for the longest time, she'd get up at least once or twice and wake us up, but she's been sleeping through. And I'll have her on the gas in the morning. Like, I'll open the door and have sunrise, and I'll just kind of sit out on the deck and watch her. So she keeps it hooked in. And she's been having really good days at school. Like, they're just like, what have you guys been doing? Like, she's been so calm and regulated. Yeah, we do it once. I've been doing it once in the morning, and then a little bit when she gets home from school. And it's been helping so much, like, since we started it, no violent, aggressive behaviors, because that was the thing that actually prompted you to come the first time, was the level of aggression and violence that this child was exhibiting. Like, we thought Matt's ACL was torn because she attacked him so brutally he couldn't walk. And that's when you were like, all right, I'm hopping on a plane. Because Matt was like, I can't walk. I don't know what I'm going to do. I have a freaking baby. She's not in school because we had to pull her out of school. So she's home and you were like, I'm coming. I'm like, yes.
Yeah, it was. It basically just, like, I was thinking, oh, should I go? Should I stay? Or should I go now? Like the Clash song. And then it was like, oh,
you. I'm like, come.
Just go. Yes. Yeah, it
when
was.
I came home, my husband's upstairs in the chair. He's like, his shirt is completely ripped. He's covered in blood, and his leg is propped up. And there's cops upstairs because they called the cops, because that's how crazy it was. I was like, this is beyond anything I know how to handle. Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And then you were like, I'm hopping on a plane. I'm coming. I'm like, yes, please.
Yeah, I know, like the big thing. But also, I think with all of this, what's always the reason I get so upset about this is it's because there's this person on the outside that, like, who does all this stuff, and some of the stuff she does, like, the noises and everything. But inside, there's the person on the letterboard that's like so funny, and that's why it really disturbs me, because she, you can't imagine. It's like I always said to Matt, it's like the mad puppet master. Somebody else is controlling her physical movements, and there's this totally different person inside. So it's one of these things. It's like, for her to behave like that. Hopefully, she actually. Sometimes people don't remember psychotic episodes, if it was even.
I don't think she does.
No, and then but that's the the key thing, because since the hydrogen, because before, like, there was been no way it would be appropriate to leave me by myself with Alexis, because I don't know her, and even you wouldn't even leave January, your babysitter, with her without. We always had 2 or 3 adults with her, whereas this time I was totally fine all the time, just sitting by her. And then there was a time when me and her just played in the water, and you had to go to the neighbor, and I did say categorically, I'm not being by myself with her, even though I really love her. It's not appropriate. Whereas this time it was totally appropriate. And I think it's nice for her to be able to feel that other people aren't frightened of her, because like Matt was saying, that imagine if you're this person and everyone thinks you're a monster. And I would just say, like, with the hydrogen, yeah, sure, she went through a phase of rejecting it, and then she got worse. And then, like you were saying, I discovered doing the hydrogen in the morning and then later the double sitting really helps. So yeah, I definitely, and I've seen it with my own eyes, and I've tested the hydrogen, and Matt obviously thought it was stupid, and then he tried it.
Now he does it every night.
The thing that sold it for me was him saying, oh, I don't get any brain fog. And I thought, oh, I'd love to have a bit more brain power, even though I don't have any cognitive like issues. I always want more. So that was what
help with the mental sharpness.
That was what sold it for me. And I thought, all right, now I want to try this now. Because before, like when you were telling me about it, I was like with the tower, I was like, yeah, whatever, that's kind of interesting. I'm not getting involved in this one. And then I thought, I'll just try it properly and then research. But I think it's sometimes, again, it's all back to, people will say, oh yeah, it's shit, but it's like, well, have you even tried it?
I'm like, well, don't buy it. Like, honestly, that's with me with the hydrogen. I love it, but honestly, don't buy it. And if you're not doing the foundational stuff, and if you're eating crap, then it's probably not going to make that big of a difference for you. Honestly, if your foundations are not in place, don't waste your time. Because what should I buy first? Should I buy deuterium depleted water? Should I buy hydrogen? Should I get an analemma wand? Should I get a red light therapy panel? I'm like, none of the above. Get a cheap pair of blue blockers and start going outside for sunrise and start blocking blue light after sunset. Get rid of the junk in your diet, and then call me back in a month. Do that consistently. And then we could talk about, you want to buy something. I'd get my water filtered. I'd make sure I'm not drinking crappy water along with that. But like, to buy all this extra stuff, like, no, don't do it. Like, don't do it. Do this stuff first.
But also, I think you can overwhelm your biochemistry with too much change.
Yeah,
exactly. Because it's also like, change is important, but it just can't do it. And then you can get anxiety. Like, that's sometimes what anxiety is. Your brain is so confused about all this red light and this hydrogen and this cold plunge. It doesn't know what to do. So it's some people feel pain, some people get anxiety. Like, I'll just go completely manic if I get overwhelmed. But because and it's one of these, and some people might binge eat. So I think sometimes it's all about, everybody's got that. If you overwhelm a human, then we can, I always say, everyone's got the potential to behave like your daughter, to have bipolar, to have ADHD, to have anxiety, to have a rage problem, but only if you're overwhelming them. And I do definitely think that trying to do too much quantum at once, like drinking from a hose pipe, is just not a good idea. And also, like, the whole thing about, like, just slow it down, just don't rush, and just learn for yourself, because different things move the needle for different people. And what moves the needle, and I get really excited about, is not exactly the same as what it does for you. And I definitely just think there's so much to be said just about grounding and being outside, that I learned from my standing desk and my grounding shoes, even if the weather. I did it today earlier, and I just think sometimes, hold your horses, as we'd say.
Yeah, you don't need to go buy a bunch of stuff. Just do the basics first, and then, all right, you want to play with your water a little bit. Cool. Let's
distill it first.
Yeah, let's distill it. Maybe add some good minerals and perhaps add some structure. You're doing a lot by doing that. Then if you want to get a hydrogen machine, cool. Get something quality. Don't get one of these little bottles. You're going to get what you pay for, make an investment, save for something. But you don't think it's I can't heal because I don't have a hydrogen machine. No, I got pregnant, had an amazing pregnancy, lost all the weight that I wanted to lose, got to my ideal figure, didn't get a hydrogen machine until like January of this year. Has it been helpful for me this year? Yeah, absolutely. I love it. But like, it's not the thing that I'm like, this was it for me. Now, it's been the thing for Alexis, but we were doing a lot of stuff with her keto diet. I mean, she gets a lot of the quantum stuff here. So we've been working on giving her a strong foundation for a really long time also.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is definitely, I was just going to say that with me and my hydrogen machine, I love it. But if like a friend or someone in my family needed it more, I'd part with it and
Yes, me
give it
too.
to them. And
Me too.
and if I retested all my labs, or I don't think I'd suddenly degrade into like, because it's like you say, I'm very much about building a big army of things for me to help myself. Because sometimes I can't do something because there's clouds or I'm busy, or I have to have a meal with somebody, which is very rare, but I still am not going to be twattish about food because it can be really offensive to some people who've cooked for me. And you know, it's stuff like, you know, and I don't get hung up. Okay, I meant to go to bed early last night and I was still farting about, and then I've had horrible sleep, so I'm really pissed off. But it's one of those things, it's like, I can't do it all the time anyway. And also,
Right.
even having the hydrogen machine, sometimes there isn't time to do it. So I think it's all about just building like a repertoire of things that you can do, but not all the time.
Right.
And not to, it doesn't matter if like I missed a sunrise, I didn't set my alarm by accident, and like it's like, oh well, I've done it now, whatever.
You missed the sunrise. It's like, okay, well, tomorrow you get
Yeah,
out for sunrise,
yeah,
you know.
but also I just think sometimes with the quantum things that I'm not against, you know, I'm not against people trying that, because I think you can't hurt yourself with it. And that's a lot of stuff that I'm very much for with people is, okay, well, I don't really think you can hurt yourself with that. And even if it
Mm-mm.
turns out to be a pile of nonsense, it's like which I don't, because I've just used it that much. It won't have hurt you, because sometimes with all this newfangled stuff, it might sound amazing or you feel great on it. Because like, say if I took some kind of psychedelic, well, I don't know, you might edit this out, like cocaine or something, I'd feel great, but it's not good for me. Well,
No.
whereas lots, you know, it doesn't mean because I feel good with the hydrogen, it is good. It's something that I'm like, yeah, this is interesting, let me just give it 2 months to test it.
Yeah.
And it's just like you say, if it turned out to not be what it claimed to be, I wouldn't be worried about recommending it because it
Yep.
won't hurt anybody. But with some supplements or things that have been banned now that were all the rage, or things that I thought were okay to do with people, and now I thought, you know, I wish I knew what I knew then back then. I wouldn't have done that with that person, and I still cringe in bed at it
Oh yeah.
for recommending that, you know. So, you know, I think there's like, but like everything, if people don't want to buy it, then don't.
Don't buy it.
Yeah, but you
Don't.
don't, but also it's like, it's not a, you know, you can't not get through life without with one anyway. Yes, we're gonna have to stop soon, because as you can
Yeah.
see, my brain is kind of the jet
Yeah.
lag.
Yeah. We'll have to divide this up probably into 2 episodes. But yeah, this has been fun and we'll probably talk more. We'll see what pops in the comments. That might bring in some more thoughtful discussion, and we'll have to do another one of these soon for sure. Thank you so much for listening to the Evolving Wellness Podcast. If you missed part 1 of this 2-hour conversation, make sure to head on over to YouTube, Apple, or Spotify and catch part 1, which was last week. You can always join my private membership group if you want to listen to the full conversation all in one go together. But I do hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please share it with a friend or a family member that maybe wants to learn a little bit more about these topics. You can always leave us a like and a comment on YouTube to support the channel. And if you're over on Apple or Spotify, you can head on over and leave the show up to a 5-star review. And that will also help to get this information out to more people. I also love to hear back from anyone listening. If you enjoy episodes like this, I always love having the formal interview episodes. Those are great. But sometimes it's really fun just to have a change of pace, to bring on a good friend from the community just to talk about whatever topics happen to come up in that conversation, which is always fun with Dr. Sara. Thanks again for listening or watching today's show, whichever one you did. And I look forward to seeing you again next week. Thanks again.